For 40 years, the Mongol Empire crushed everything in its path. From China to the gates of Egypt, no army stopped them. Until they met an army of former slaves who knew their secrets. These were the Mamluks of Egypt, elite cavalry forged from childhood. They had one chance, one tactic. If it failed, Egypt would fall. And nothing would stop the Mongols from riding into Africa and Europe. This is the story of the Battle of Ain Jalut, 1260, the first time the Mongols were decisively beaten in open battle. Let's break down exactly how the Mamluks did it. In the 13th century, the Mongols were less an army and more a storm. They rode small, tough steppe horses that could travel enormous distances. Each warrior had several mounts, so the army almost never slowed down. Their main weapon was the composite bow, short but brutally powerful. Even at full gallop, Mongol horse archers could hit targets at range. Their battle plan was simple and terrifying. First came endless waves of horse archers firing from every direction. Arrows shattered formations before the enemy even reached sword range. Then Mongol heavy cavalry slammed into the weakest point in the line. Other units swung around the flanks to surround whoever was left. If you ran, they chased you down on faster horses. If you stood your ground, you died under arrows and lances. City after city fell to this methodical violence. Samarkand, Baghdad, Aleppo, Damascus. The names blurred into ruins. Stories of massacres spread faster than their horses could ride. Many rulers surrendered before the Mongols even arrived. Fight, and your people risked annihilation. Submit, and you might at least survive under new masters. By 1260, people whispered that the Mongols were God's punishment on earth. No Christian kingdom, no Muslim dynasty, no steppe rival had stopped them. And now their armies were turning toward Egypt. The men who would stop the Mongols began life as property. The word Mamluk literally means owned or possessed. As boys, they were taken from the steppes and the Caucasus. Turkic, Kipchak, Circassian, sold into the markets of the Islamic world. In Egypt, they weren't bought for housework. They were bought to become soldiers. From childhood, they lived in barracks, not homes. They learned to ride before most children learned to write. Every day was drill, archery, lances, swordplay, formation riding. Their whole identity was built around war and loyalty to their unit. After years of training, many Mamluks were officially freed. But freedom didn't mean retirement. They stayed in service as full-time, professional warriors. Over time, these elite troops gained huge power in Egypt. They guarded sultans, commanded armies, and decided who kept the throne. By the mid-13th century, the Mamluks weren't just serving the state. They were becoming the state. Many came from the same steppe culture that fed the Mongol armies. They rode similar horses and used similar bows. They understood the mindset of mounted archers and raiders. So, when the Mongols pushed into the Middle East, the Mamluks recognized the style of warfare in front of them. Egypt at this moment was ruled by Sultan Qutuz, himself a former Mamluk. His most dangerous weapon was his general, Baibars. Baibars knew the Levant and its battlefields intimately. He had fought crusaders, rival Muslim rulers, and survived as a fugitive. He understood the terrain, the politics, and the way steppe warriors thought. So, when the Mongols pushed into the Middle East, the Mamluks recognized the style of warfare in front of them. Egypt at this moment was ruled by Sultan Qutuz, himself a former Mamluk. His most dangerous weapon was his general, Baibars. Baibars knew the Levant and its battlefields intimately. He had fought crusaders, rival Muslim rulers, and survived as a fugitive. He understood the terrain, the politics, and the way steppe warriors thought. When Mongol envoys demanded Egypt's surrender, Qutuz chose defiance. The messengers were killed, their heads displayed on Cairo's gate. There was no way back now. Qutuz and Baibars gathered around 20,000 Mamluk troops. They marched north, racing to confront Kitbuka before reinforcements arrived. The two armies met near a spring called Ain Jalut in the Jezreel Valley, a pocket of green surrounded by hills and broken ground. To the Mongols, it looked like another battlefield waiting to be conquered. To Baibars, it looked like the perfect place for a trap. Baibars took command of the Mamluk vanguard at the front. His job was simple and deadly. Make contact, then bait the Mongols in. Kitbuka, confident and aggressive, ordered an immediate charge. The valley exploded into motion. Arrows flew in both directions. Lances lowered. Horses crashed together in clouds of dust. For a moment, it looked exactly like every other Mongol onslaught. Then Baibars began to pull his men back. Slowly at first, then faster, the Mamluk vanguard started to retreat. This wasn't panic, this was the plan. Baibars had ordered a feigned retreat, the classic Mongol trick. He was using their own favorite move against them. To Kitbuka, it looked familiar and obvious. The enemy was running. The proud Egyptians were breaking. He pushed his cavalry forward to finish them. The Mongols thundered after the fleeing Mamluks, deeper into the valley. Their line stretched longer and thinner, as eager riders surged ahead. Formation loosened. Coordination weakened. All the while, the main Mamluk army waited in silence on the surrounding heights. Banners low, horses still. Qutuz watched the Mongols ride exactly where he wanted them. When the Mongol vanguard was far enough inside the kill zone, Qutuz gave the signal. Drums and horns shattered the silence. Hidden Mamluk cavalry surged down from the hills on both flanks. Arrows slammed into the sides of the surprised Mongol riders. What had looked like an easy pursuit turned into sudden chaos. For the first time in years, Mongol warriors were ambushed in open battle. The fighting was brutal and close. The Mongols tried to rally around Kitbuka and stabilize the line. For a moment, the outcome was still uncertain. At that moment, Qutuz did something rulers almost never did. He rode straight into the heart of the battle. According to later accounts, he removed his helmet so his men could see him. He shouted, "Wa Islama," for Islam, and led a personal charge. Seeing their sultan at the front ignited Mamluk morale. The attack pressed harder from all sides. In the chaos, the Mongol commander Kitbuka was killed. With their general dead and their formation shattered, the Mongols began to break. Some units tried to retreat toward Bisan and open ground. The Mongols did not let them go. The retreat turned into a rout. Fleeing riders cut down as they ran. At Ain Jalut, the impossible had happened. A Mongol army had been decisively defeated in open battle. The Mamluks didn't win by miracle. They won through terrain, psychology, discipline, and leadership. First, terrain. Ain Jalut sat in a valley with ridges, trees, and folds in the ground. It was perfect for hiding large forces just out of sight. Baibars chose ground that limited the Mongols' greatest strength, mobility. Instead of fighting on wide open steppe, he forced them into a narrower killing zone. There they couldn't spread out, circle, and envelop as easily. Second, psychology. The feigned retreat was a classic Mongol weapon. They had used it countless times to draw proud enemies into traps. Baibars flipped that habit against them. He knew Mongol generals were used to being the clever ones. When the Mamluk vanguard ran, Kitbuka believed the story he expected. He thought, "They're broken, chase them, finish them." That overconfidence dragged his cavalry deep into hostile ground. Third, discipline. A fake retreat is one of the hardest maneuvers in warfare. You have to look like you're panicking without actually collapsing. You must keep enough order to turn and fight again on command. The Mamluks pulled it off because they were professionals drilled from childhood. Their training let them execute a risky plan without falling apart. The Mongols, in contrast, let their pursuit become overextended. Individual courage outran coordination. Brave riders pushed too far ahead into carefully prepared kill zones. Finally, leadership. Baibars chose the battlefield and designed the trap. Qutuz timed the ambush and committed his reserves at the critical moment. Then he led from the front, risking his life where the fighting was thickest. For once, it wasn't the Mongols outthinking their enemies. At Ain Jalut, they were the ones outplayed. Ain Jalut didn't destroy the Mongol Empire, but it stopped their advance into the heart of the Islamic world. After this defeat, Mongol armies never again conquered Egypt. The forward edge of their empire in the region froze and then receded. The momentum shifted toward the Mamluks. In the following years, they extended their rule over Syria and the Levant. They emerged as the dominant power of the Eastern Mediterranean. The victory also reshaped their own image. Ain Jalut helped legitimize Mamluk rule as defenders of Islam. Former slaves became the recognized shield of the region. Baibars would go on to become Sultan himself. He is remembered as one of the great military rulers of his age. Modern strategists still study the Battle of Ain Jalut today, not only because it was the first major Mongol defeat, but because it shows how one well-timed tactic can change history. Choose the right ground. Understand your enemy's habits. Exploit their expectations instead of fighting on their terms. At Ain Jalut, an army of ex-slaves shattered the myth of an invincible empire, and proved that even the most feared war machine can be broken. At Ain Jalut, an army of ex-slaves shattered the myth of Mongol invincibility. They proved that even the most feared war machine on Earth can be broken by the right tactic at the right moment. If you want to see another battle where one daring move changed everything, check out my breakdown of Alexander's tactics at Gaugamela next. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which battle I should cover next. Thanks for watching, and remember, in history, strategy beats size more often than you think.